right, let's see if I can adjust the screen here just a little bit. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. It is Wednesday. It is 4:30 p.m. Central Time. It's office hours here on the Academy. Hey there, Andrew. Good to have you back in Illinois.
I'm happy to be there. It sounds like, or happy to be back. It sounds like I just missed quite a bit of snow that's happening today. But I got to say, it does sound like it's storming right inside my house. It's so loud right now. So just a heads up, sounds like that's heading your way.
Yeah, we had something passing by earlier, but we might be in for a third time. Let's see.
All right.
But what's going on for the past 7 days?
Yeah, so we've had a couple of things that I came across from the community, and did want to mention too. So I just got back from Minneapolis last night, having the fantastic opportunity to present up at the Twin Cities Systems Management User Group with a couple of other people. We had Fabian Rodriguez talking about Mac OS management yesterday. Steve Weiner came up and talked about his very unsupported but very cool solution on migrating devices from hybrid entry-joined to native entry-joined, or from one tenant to another. He had a lot of very cool scenarios that he talked through, highlighting again, unsupported, but very cool presentation to see. I talked a little bit about Laps yesterday, and Matt Roy talked about Microsoft's Enterprise App Catalog. Very great turnout, which you and I, big proponents of user groups and things like that. So it was fantastic to see a full house yesterday. Very cool stuff. Nice to get out of the house. Perfect timing too. We're on the back end of winter, and get out and actually talk to some folks about Intune yesterday. It was just really fantastic stuff.
All right then.
So just wanted to talk about that real quick, but I do have some blog posts that I come across that I would like to share.
So I should share your screen. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
How about this layout?
That looks pretty good. And man, I almost guessed the screen size almost exactly. There we go. All right. We're going to go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. All right. Back to business. Came across a post from Rudy, and maybe we shared this. I just came across it today. I hear the thunder over by you now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got to focus. A little distracted by the storm right now. Rudy posted this blog post over on the Patch My PC blog a couple of weeks ago, and it might have just been reshared this afternoon. But I wanted to share it because I know many folks have come across, myself included, have come across the 65,000 error code in Intune when using the settings catalog. So this blog post just has a few things that you can look through should you come across that error. And so just if I scroll down to the bottom, there's some great stuff in here on how these ADMX templates or ADMX-backed templates in the settings catalog get applied, as well as some of the things that you can do to try to troubleshoot that. Sync ML logs, check event viewer, and in at least one case, check the service health dashboard to see if there are any issues that could be causing these templates to not be applied properly. So really good stuff here, as always, from Rudy. I also came across this blog post. I did not finish reading it just yet, but I've been working with Windows Hello for Business and security keys and stuff a little bit more recently. So this was really interesting to me. Morton wrote about how to authenticate with Windows Hello for Business and FIDO keys in an RDP session. So great blog post here. Man, now it's hailing.
Yeah, I just got a visitor crawling up under my desk here. That's why I was moving my chair before. But
oh yeah.
I have like a, I don't know, 3.5 square feet area covered by a small horse. Kind of came in. He's bigger
Uh,
than the area, but he make a point of fitting.
so he's not in his usual spot behind you because he hears that storm going.
No, Ray is right there. She's flat out on her back. Couldn't care less, but kind of do not like thunder.
Oh, goodness. All right. What else do we have? A couple more things. Came across this blog post that was just interesting to me. Again, controlling Microsoft Teams privacy settings with Intune. So Perry Larson wrote this blog post. Some good stuff here as well. And I also saw this note from Leora earlier today that Intune Device Inventory for Apple and Android devices are going to be going GA next month. And this is included in the standard Intune P1 license, which makes me very happy, as I'm sure it does everybody else as well. So wanted to make sure that I shared that. Again, as we often talk about, we try to pay attention to these some of these features like device inventory, things that we would expect to get out of a platform like this. So when we receive these updates, I'm always going to celebrate these things. That's for sure. And then also, Johan, you and I were just emailing back and forth a little bit this week. It sounds like we've got a new mini course coming up here over the next couple of weeks over on the Academy.
Yes, this was a course that I was presented. Of course, it was a session that was presented at the Nordic Virtual Summit. You might remember the one I went up at. Forgot it was 2 or 3 in the morning, but it was really early because it was done in European time. But it was one of those sessions like, oh, wait a minute, that's a fantastic session. So I convinced Kent and Morten to do a little bit longer one for our academy. So that one will be kicking off now. Is it next week or the week after?
The week after.
April 3, perhaps?
Yes. Here we go. At 9 a.m. Central.
Yep. So if you're interested in Copilot and what's happening in those areas, highly recommend. It was a great session.
Very cool. Looking forward to it. All right. That was most of the stuff that I had for this week.
All right. Let's see. My screen. There we go.
That's your screen?
Yeah. Last night or yesterday, I was working on a blog post that actually came from a Twitter thread or X thread, whatever you call those threads. Twitter, I still call it Twitter. Mm-hmm. Regarding delivery optimization, sometimes not listening. And that means that even though the service is running, when you try to test your connectivity to one of those devices on that port, it will simply say, nope, that's not happening. But that could be very well an okay scenario. It could be that you don't have any files to share. So just because you have DU service running, it doesn't mean you have downloaded something that is willing to share. It could also be that you have disabled peering, because there are download modes that you can configure in delivery optimization, like number 0, which is HTTP only, no peering. Keyword here is no peering. Or mode 99, which you often have for VPN connections, also no peering. And no use of cloud services. But that means it won't listen. So when you run the troubleshooting tools that Microsoft provide, like the troubleshooting script that we have showcased a few times, it will actually come back and say fail. No, it's not fail. You turned it off. It's supposed to not peer. But it's I got actually a bit surprised that it wouldn't even respond, but it doesn't. So either there are no files to share or you have turned it off. And DO, as you might know, is a pretty weird in the way it shares files. So if you have Windows 10 or Windows 11, and you have not enabled local discovery, like the DNS SD tier restriction, it will only share 4 files at the time. Even if you had downloaded 104, it's only going to share 4. So that's why you typically need an entire fleet of machines to get a good coverage on a subnet. But starting with Windows 11, when you enable DNS SD, it will share everything it downloads. So obviously, if you download 100 files, it's going to share 100 files. So you typically get much better coverage there. So, but yeah, I summarized my thoughts on that. I learned a little bit about WMI Bridge Provider also for DO. Thank you, Gary, for helping out with that one. But yeah, good little blog post.
Great stuff.
Yeah. I've also been answering questions regarding Samsung SSD drives that have been failing left and right for people, including myself. I've returned 5 so far. I'm planning on returning 2 more. They are simply not good under heavy load. And I was having a Twitter thread with Richard Hicks earlier today. He has seen the exact same issue. And I know you had some of those as well, Andrew. So basically,
Absolutely.
not useful for high write volume workloads like virtual machines, which is what I use them for. So buy something else, like a Western Digital Red for NAS caches, or Micron for server grade Micron. They can be branded with Dell or whatever, but they are server graded enterprise disks, and they usually have a writing capacity of somewhere in between 5,000 terabytes and 7,000 terabytes before they call it a night. So if you only write, let's say, 100 terabyte a month, you're in good shape. And it's kind of hard to get up to 100 terabyte a month, but you never know.
Sounds like a challenge.
Challenge accepted. Then I stumbled across a post from Morris Daily, and I figured I should share this because they are now starting to see issues with the March patch or BIOS version. And you don't see the threads here, but because I'm not logged in on Twitter on this browser, but there were others seeing the same thing, different issues, having blue screens and locks, etc. So if you have a chance to have one of those devices and are seeing the same type of issues, please reply to this thread and see if something can be worked out, or if it's simply required to downgrade to an older BIOS version, or wait until Dell fixes the problem and releases a new one. So that's something I wanted to share. So that's my little rant for the day.
All right. Good stuff. Yeah, hardware's been a little frustrating the last couple of days. And to your point about the Samsung NVMe drives, it's unfortunate that we've had that experience. I think you and I have both had a really great experience with their NVMe drives up to this point.
Heck yeah, we used them for 10 years. 40, 50 lab machines is just not a problem. And now suddenly, nope. The 4 terabyte ones, nah, not good.
Yeah, it's a bummer, to say the least. It's been frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got some familiar names popping in, joining us today. I see Matthew's joining us over on YouTube, and Mr. David Segura also joining us on LinkedIn.
Well, good to see friendly faces or names. Question is, do we have any questions out there?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Otherwise, I feel good because I was doing our Windows 11 internals training last week. So I figured I could for the next 2 hours here go through each available.
Uh-oh. I think that the storm is messing with your connection there.
now.
Uh-oh. Are you bad? There we go.
I thought you were making a joke first, but it actually was a hiccup.
Yep. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I heard that.
I saw my office just lit up, and then.
Well, at least our
right,
internet connection is a microwave link, so it's not really impacted by a tree falling down on a wire or anything like that. But still, it can go out, of course. But I was mentioned just before that if there are no questions, I can spend an hour and a half just covering through all possible command line options for a setup, because that's basically what I spent my last week of doing in a way. But actually, I thought there are a few that could be useful to mention that I stumbled across, because I was invited this Monday morning to a session that Matthias Melkerson and Nickolaj Andersen put together around Windows 11 upgrades.
Uh-oh. I think we might have lost Johan for a moment. See if we can get him back here. Hey, no, it's just me. And I do not have control of the stream. Nope. Are you back? You're back. There you are.
Yeah, sorry about the thunder, everyone.
Oh. That's all good.
Get in there. So this feature update controller generates the setup config file and everything related to it. But it also has modules like plugins that you can tap in to do other type of customizations. And darn internet. Live stream and thunder.
Yeah. Well, you're still here at the moment, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm having a ping running, and it goes out every other session or second or so. Now it seems to be stable again.
I hear that hail over by you too now.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that this update control also have other modules that can do customizations as part of the feature update. But the shorthand version is it does generate the scripts that are required to do a little bit more advanced stuff. For example, generating this file that setup will use when driven from Intune. And these items here are the exact items that are here. And this one is particularly fun because starting with Windows 10 18.03, Microsoft switched on how the upgrade behaves. It is now optimized for productivity, meaning it will stay longer when the user is on the device and then try to do the rest of the upgrade super quick. But if your goal is just to make an upgrade as quick as possible, it is actually faster to just disable it. And then basically tell the user to go take a coffee break and then come back when the upgrade is done. That was something we played around with and tested some different scenarios. So pretty cool. You might remember Adam Gross had a blog post about that years ago when he stumbled across that for Windows 10. This one here, where he borrowed a little bit of Microsoft documentation. This is for Windows 10, so they changed a little bit for Windows 11. But he basically did some comparison tests with basically a stopwatch to see, okay, what are the real differences when doing this? So I thought it was pretty cool. and something
Very
to
cool.
to pass the time with. So, and while I was doing that, it sure looks like we got a few questions coming in.
We did, and I do want to. Before we get to the questions, there's I like Dustin's comment here. I think that's a rock song, "Live Stream in Thunder." That's a good one. That is our theme song of the day.
Yep, I like it.
So
Thunderstruck. Yep.
yeah, exactly. Oh no, that's going to be stuck in my head. First question we have is from Matthew over on YouTube. Could you show how to set up an application install as a package? Assuming if we're just talking about applications and packages, that is with ConfigMgr.
I should be able to do that. I've done it once or twice. Here is a ConfigMgr server, 2409. I just patched it yesterday to the new rollup that came out. So that one is, of course, fresh off the presses also. But in terms of creating a package as an application, it is very straightforward. You need to have a source of some content. See what I have available here that I can borrow. It's a very old Notepad++. That will do just fine. So I have downloaded an application. I would like to install it, but I want to install it as a package because maybe I want to run it as a sequence, or I maybe just want to download content. And packages are really fast for that purpose. Otherwise, you would normally use an application model app. But if you do a ton of them in a sequence, packages are faster and more reliable. So I have a source with some stuff. So let's go ahead and create a package. Call it Notepad++. Put this any. Going to throw in the demo because I'm going to delete this one when we're done. And I will configure to have source files. So now I will browse to that location, sources, software, Notepad++, and pick that folder, and then continue on and create a program for it. Call it install or something clever. And then I browse for the command line. So I'm going to pick that installer, and whatever syntax it is to install this one silently. I believe this one is just /s. I have to double check that. I had one for Intune. I was playing around with that one. I think. Yeah, -s. That should work just fine. So that will be a command line. Of course, program can run whether or not the user logged in. This is a requirement if I want to run it as a sequence. And other than that, I can put in some estimated disk space just for the fun of it. And then I have a program, a package created. This is an application. I need to distribute the content to one or more distribution points. So I have a distribution point group I usually use. Distribute the content to that one. And then in my sequences, so I have a sequence here. I can go ahead and add that application in. However, there is one setting that is required when you do this that is not part of the wizard. So before, I will say that I want to install it at some point here. So I would add in, software and install package. Before I can pick my package here, or before I pick a package here, I really should make that change. So if I go back to my packages, find my Notepad++ again that I just created, go to the program, do properties, and head over to here. This magic checkbox need to be selected, so I can add it as part of my sequence. And then I can go back and pick it. So it should show up here. And the program, and I'm done. So this is how you create an application as a package and also make it suitable for OSD, so you can add it to a sequence. Yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Great stuff.
And just for the fun of it, I'm going to go ahead and delete it before I forget.
We've got another question over here on YouTube from Barry. Any comments on the 2409 hotfix release? We don't always install them depending on what they are, so I was wondering if you'd seen anything of note. And I think we forgot to provide that update. I forgot that there was another hotfix rollup that did release over the last week, and I think I haven't had the opportunity to install it yet, but that had several CMG fixes in there. Anything you've heard about the update so far, Johan?
Only what I read in the KB. So this is the fresh one. It came out March 12th.
Yeah.
Didn't show up in my console until a few days later, but there's a good chunk of fixes done. Yeah. I have so far only upgraded my lab and I haven't seen any problems with it, but I've been running it for like 2 days also, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
This is indeed the information.
Haven't seen any errors reported or any new issues or anything like that, but I am interested in. It did sound like quite a few folks were having CMG issues that this is supposed to fix.
Roll-ups are in general safe to upgrade to. Mm-hmm. They often are just specific fixes for issues. It's not like it's a complete new version. Yeah. Worth mentioning, though, is that this one has updates for pretty much everything. Site server itself, the console, as well as the client. So when you have upgraded that one, you will have to go through and update boot images to support that version also. So simple as that.
All right, great call out. Amir is working with. So Amir's got a question over here on YouTube. Working with replacing MDT with Autopilot for new devices. There is a requirement in his organization to register all currently in use devices with Autopilot to ensure they're ready for redeployment when their users leave. The challenge that they're facing is that scripts and apps marked as required for Autopilot devices are now getting pushed to these newly registered machines, causing disruptions to users' work. Do we have any best practices to avoid this while still meeting the registration mandate? Any kind of exclusion or filtering that they've come up with seems to stay in place even when we do need the Autopilot to work.
Yeah, that is a good question. A long one, too.
Yeah, so it sounds like you have some scripts, have some applications that are being assigned as required to maybe a group that has any Autopilot enrolled devices as a member of that group, is how I'm reading this.
I mean, you can definitely import them so they are there, but don't add them to any groups yet so they don't get an assignment. If that's what's causing the apping to come down on those devices. I assuming this is some sort of a co-managed state or Intune only state where this is happening. I mean, basically, if you put an existing Intune device into a group that happen to have applications deployed to it, like often is the case with Autopilot stuff, then those applications will come down. So if you skip doing that, then they shouldn't install. That's the only thing I can think of at the moment, unless I'm reading the question wrong.
Yeah, and if in this case, I think where I went when I first read it was that maybe some of these are assigned to a group that's looking for any of the devices that have the physical ID starting with ZTD ID.
CTI, yeah, okay, yeah.
So if that's the case, and an exclusion isn't going to work, maybe go the opposite way rather than having a dynamic device group for these assignments, working up a different device membership.
Yeah, it looks like Mr. Autopilot himself chimed in with a comment also here in the chat. So I'm gonna put that one up. That is not a bad idea at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and Amir did just follow up. It's Intune only, and the group they become part of is the main Autopilot dynamic group based on the ZTD ID.
Yeah. Yeah, either ditch using those dynamic groups and have another process to add them into the right group when needed. You just do the registration for now, or take up Nihau's on his tip there to try to figure out a way to basically have a requirement rule that try to detect those devices and not install the app. So brilliant idea. Thank you. I love the community coming together, fixing things.
Absolutely. It's the best.
Yeah.
Had the opportunity to see Michael yesterday up at the user group. It was fantastic to see him. It's been a few months.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been practically just around the corner for him. Just a quick flight from Seattle to Minneapolis.
I know, that's what I said.
Commitment, that's what it's called. Dedication. Support.
Right. Well, I think that's a testament to how great that event was set up yesterday by the user group.
Yeah, if you take a 2-3 hour flight to go see it, then you know it's good. So.
That's right. All right.
But that happened before. Matt, who's often joining us on this in office hours, he flew up to Phoenix when we had the user group meeting there.
Yeah.
And that's like a 2-hour flight from Texas.
Well, I mean, some of these, like yesterday, it was, I absolutely see the benefit. Some user group meetings just a couple hours long. Maybe they're at the end of the day or even just an afternoon or something like that. But, some of these Twin Cities, especially, they've done this Intune Day the last 2 years, which has been fantastic. They've done OSD Day. I believe you've gone up to those before, Johan, that are just, if you've got a whole day for an event like this, it definitely can be worth it.
I mean, the price for the event is just right because user groups are free, so you only have to pay for your airfare. And these days, it's often possible to find reasonable flights for without breaking the bank.
Exactly. I just saw a comment here from LinkedIn from Jason. Thank you for the kind words, Jason. I really appreciate it. It was funny. I presented yesterday on lapse and role-based access control in Intune and Entra. And this was coming on the heels of some really great presentations in the morning, some cool cutting edge unsupported stuff. So I went up there thinking like, man, lapse, role-based access, they're very important topics, obviously, or I wouldn't have been speaking about them. But they're not. There's nothing super exciting about role-based access control, but they're very important. Johan, you know that I am a big fan of them, especially coming from the education space. They're very important. All that said, the comments that I got after presenting it and everything were pleasantly surprising. It sounded like it was some great content, and I am working through. I did mention this yesterday, but I am working through sort of a blog series that I want to write up and post on these things. So now that I've said it out loud, I'm sort of said it out loud and have it on a YouTube recording. I think I'm sort of forced to do that.
Of course you are.
But that's good. Yeah, Jason says meat and potatoes versus dessert. I love it. I love that comparison. So really good stuff. All right. Looks like we do have some follow-up on the Autopilot comments here. Amir said did that too, but the membership based on the old computer name seems to stay longer than needed during the Autopilot process, so they're still getting these assignments. Interesting. And Michael did provide some examples on what to maybe try out if you want to share that comment, Johan, up on this.
I can do my best.
Well, your best is pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think we can be able to copy and paste that and share on the session links, because that's a handful to type.
I will make sure I have that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Got a question over here from Francois over on YouTube. Intune to manage Windows Server OS. Do you think that'll be a thing someday?
It's been up for discussion. I know that, especially for software updates, but I haven't seen any sort of. It's more like an area that Microsoft's been looking into, but I haven't heard a beep on something that is like, yes, we're going to do this. Right now, your only option if you need cloud, or pretty much your only option if you need a cloud service to patch servers, that would be Azure Arc. Mm-hmm. And those updates are not cheap. It's cheaper to get a ConfigMgr server and install and pay for Cloud Management Gateway and use that to patch those servers than it is to use them with Azure Arc.
Yep.
Most likely, at least, depending on your license agreement. But patching alone is like $5 a month per server. And that adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah, so maybe if you have a small environment.
Yeah. And I mean, in all fairness, config manager and server licenses is different from regular client endpoints. It's you pay per endpoint there too.
Yep. Great questions.
Mm-hmm. Anything else out there can help answer? And I mean, I just said thank you for all the comments, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see any new questions coming in. Is this going to be a day where they're letting us off easy? That's usually not the case.
Nope, every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Which is all right, by the way. We don't like being let off easy, typically.
Well, I promised the family I will grill some burgers this evening. And the outside grills, I probably need to bring an umbrella with me.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Matthew just added a question in here, actually. Any good sites to really explain how to set up ConfigMgr OSD or and also UI++?
Haven't seen something detailed around UI++, but in terms of setting up the ConfigMgr OSD part, well, one option could be to attend our training, so shameless plug on that, but Niall has the best guides in the business for that. In terms of support for guides, I can go directly to the site, actually, Windows Noob. Niall Brady, long-time MVP, probably been an MVP for like 20 some years, but he has written, one or two guides over the years, or more like 102 or 3 guides over the years. So these are just fantastic guides, including OSD. So some of them obviously a little bit older, but heck, config manager haven't changed that much. Sure, that could be a feature or two that has been added, but in general, these guides are still super valid for config manager stuff. And as you can see, there are a few of them. So Windows Noob, click guides, that's a good starting point.
Gosh, like so many other folks, I will speak for my own experience. This stuff was a lifesaver when I first set up a config manager site.
Yeah, how he finds time to write this, I don't get.
Yeah.
But it's great nonetheless.
I had the opportunity to thank him a few MMSs ago, with a nice glass of whiskey. It was very well earned with all of that information.
21-year Macallan or something, I'm assuming.
Yes, I'll just take that credit. Yeah, I'm sure it was that
There you
good.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, and on UI++, I can't think of anything either. Just the documentation. I think recently when you and I talked about it, we talked about front ends during our MDT mini course, and
Yeah.
I believe I was actually doing some Wayback Machine to get some of the old documentation on that.
Yeah, he did release the source code up on GitHub, so of course you have that available also. There is some VBScript dependencies in it, but VBScript is still around. It's going to be around for at least a couple of years. They announced that the deprecation will start in 2027. But I mean, that still can very well change also. There are so many other things that are depending on VBScript itself, and it's still enabled by default in Windows 11 24H2. It's enabled by default in Windows Server 2025. And all of those systems also have VBScripts in them. And good luck running those without VBScript. So it's going to be around for a while. But yeah, I haven't seen a guide for it other than the documentation.
Yep. There's just a follow-up question here. Sorry if I missed it, but any known issues in the latest 2409 hotfix for Config Manager? Nothing that Johan and I have seen yet, but Johan's only had it in his lab for a couple of days, and I have not been able to apply it yet. because I've just had some wonderful hardware experience the last couple of days in my lab.
Yeah.
So nothing that we've seen, but if we come across anything, of course, we'll share it.
And just put up the link here to the source code also, so if anyone wants to.
Thank you, sir. All right. Another question coming in here from YouTube. Any thoughts on the built-in ConfigMgr SSRS reports not working, but third-party reports are working fine? Lots of access denied errors, but no recent changes to the service account or console user.
Not something I have stumbled across. I have seen upgrades here and there with generate duplicate reports, and you just have to go delete the duplicates. But no, the only thing that would come to mind would go ahead and review their security. So basically go to the reports in ConfigMgr, see what I have it on this system. And pick a report. Modem feels up to date now in the year of 2025. But this particular report I can go to, of course. I did not mean to run it. I meant to go to the admin site of it. Reports only then. Here we go. Try one more time. Pick a report and basically manage and what the heck is security right in front of my face? Check that. Compare the ones that are working with the ones that are not working and see if something stands out. That's the only thing I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if you don't have too many third-party reports in the past when I've had issues, even the duplicates issue, I've simply removed the reporting services point and redeployed it.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, it's easy to export the ones that you have that are custom.
Yeah.
Nickolaj Andersen has a nice script to export custom reports.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can build back and import them again.
Yep.
Might be worth, I mean, that takes a couple of hours at most. And rather than spending a day or two troubleshooting or fixing permissions, why not?
Yeah.
And test in a lab first.
Absolutely.
Right? I forgot to ask you, how is the Server 2025 hydration kit testing going?
Very well. We had another, so we've had a couple of folks offer up a second set of eyes, which has been fantastic. I think we mentioned last week. Did come across something earlier this week. SQL Server 2022 totally supported with ConfigMgr, but you do have to make sure that you install the instance in compatibility mode 150. By default, SQL Server 2022 will install at 160. It works.
Yeah, but the team doesn't support it. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So plan on making that change here over the next soon, very quickly. And I know of at least one other person that is going to give another set of eyes this week. But things are looking really, really good so far.
Awesome. Thank you for your dedication. And for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, it's a fresh version of these hydration kits that we have been sharing over the years that builds up an entire lab environment. It's just one that is updated to the latest server and SQL release that is supported by ConfigMgr. So looking forward to that one.
definitely. It's been fun going through another full deployment. Well, I've been through several full deployments now over the last month. But
So, is it realistic to expect a release by Easter?
oh yeah,
All right then.
I think so. We're just at minor things at this point. So, I've made a couple of promises on this live stream.
You're in trouble now, sir.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Hey, sometimes that's all. That's what you need, right, to get stuff done.
Yeah, but it's like we often say, you never learn so much until you are forced to do something. You're like do a presentation or a training or a user group meeting or something, because you have to get heads down and just focus for a couple of days, and you learn so much those days. It's just incredible.
Oh, so much truth to that. I couldn't agree more.
All right, let's see. Benny was asking a question on best way to downgrade machines from 24H2. If you do it quickly, you can roll back to the earlier version. By default, you have 10 days to do it. So I have here a device that we used in our Intune training this week. So that one was upgraded somewhat recently, meaning Monday. Must have been this one here. So this one was not upgraded to 24H2, but it was upgraded to 23H2. And since 10 days haven't passed yet, I can still go into the control panel or the settings and go to recovery options, and I will have the ability to, unless this was a bare metal deployment. This might have been a bare metal deployment. There is no recovery option. Where do I have something that I recently upgraded? Thought we upgraded that one. That one is still Windows 10, so that one was clearly not upgraded. Maybe one of these guys. Clearly a Windows 11 device at least. See if I can log into it.
Got one or two VMs there on your
Yeah.
Hyper-V box.
Yeah. It might have been a bare metal, this one. But there usually is an option to like go back to the previous version if it hasn't passed too many days, and you will still see that Windows.old folder on the device. So we can see if there are any screenshots on this documentation link. Otherwise, I can take it to my homework to find the device until next week. Yeah, so basically go system recovery and then select go back here. So maybe that, if it was an in-place upgrade. because when we go to 24H2, it's always a full in-place upgrade.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good. Amir's asking, with the WMIC command tool being deprecated, do you have any suggestions on reviving the batch scripts that were relied on without having to deal with PowerShell?
No. Have the batch file call a PowerShell script? I don't know.
Oh.
WMI, no. PowerShell is the language to use, and it's not particularly difficult to port a batch file over to PowerShell. It's quite straightforward. Trying to see what OS this one is. That looks like a Windows 11 also. Did not mean to click that option. Yeah, here's one that has the go back option. So this one here.
Nice.
Yeah. So just needed to find a machine that was upgraded recently.
Hey, you did. That's awesome.
Yeah, every now and then.
All right.
Hey, we got some last minute questions in after all. Brilliant.
We did. Thanks for getting those in.
Well, I don't see any others. So everyone out there, usual, thank you so much for joining, and thank you everyone for your help with the questions as well out there. And we hope to see you again next Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Central Time, here on the Academy.
Okay. Thanks, Johan. Thanks everybody for joining.